Hi, welcome to Steph's World, but this is not a spiritual discussion. Now, in some ways it will be because you know what? You can't truly get out of the spiritual world. There's no way around it. You just really can't. Okay? Um, Everything's all tied together. Spirituality and life. And if you don't have spirituality in your life, you ain't got real life, let me tell you. I know, I'm speaking from my own earthly experience, okay? Read the book, and I'm working on part 7 right now. It's a goodie. You'll love that part. That's my Texas life, okay? Ooh, that was something. I gotta tell a funny story about that before I go any further. It's hilarious. First of all, if any of you have read any of my story about me and my family and where I came from, I had a mother that was part Shawnee. Okay, now come on, you can see it in this face. Don't tell me you can't. And then I had an Irish father, and we're talking Irish, okay? So he had all these kids, six of us, and I was the oldest. So being the oldest meant I had to do a bunch more than the rest of them. Okay, they all know it. It's no big secret, and nobody has any issues about it or anything, especially me. That's what spirituality helped me deal with. But anyway, I gotta tell this funny story. I had my youngest, my daughter, Rachel, in Texas, in the Dallas Fort Worth area. And I actually married my hero son who passed away. Uh, his birthday's coming up real soon too, by the way. I've been kind of fussy. I've been kind of hard to be around right now because it's tough on me. It'll be my second birthday for my child without him being here. Okay? And those of you who have lost your children, you know darn well what I'm talking about. This is not an easy deal. Not at all. And some of us don't even make it through it. Okay? Some people die. My grandmother died from it. She lost 2 of her children, even though she was very old. Losing those 2 children was like, wow, did a number on her. Okay, well, anyway, here's the deal. My dad and my mother came down to visit, and I think I didn't even know if I was pregnant yet. But it was kind of shocking that they even came down to visit because usually we always had to go see them in Chicago or when they moved to just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and then we'd have to go out there and see them. But anyway, they came down. Now my dad is a kind of a Southern man, okay, so I never imagined that he would have trouble understanding people and their accents in the South. I never would have ever have thought that he would have trouble with that. He was born in Arkansas. He had a family that was more southern than northern. There's no question about that. They even had southern thinking, if you know what I mean. So, that's why for many, many years my dad refused, and I mean refused to admit that his wife could possibly have any Native American in her. Well, he knows it now. But anyway, getting on with this. It took them a long time to finally show up, and I was really starting to get worried about them. And they weren't that old then. I mean, we're talking 33 years ago, okay? And my dad's 82, so he wasn't even, maybe he was 50. So they were pretty young. But anyway, they finally showed up, and I said, well, what the heck took so long? And he goes, well, we stopped at 3 or 4 places, and I just couldn't understand any of them. They talk a foreign language down here. And my dad could have been a comedian. Honest to God, the man has a sense of humor, or just being himself is hilarious. The stories we could tell you, my family, my brothers and sisters and I could tell you, are belly aching, laughing stories. You're rolling in laughter when you hear about some of this stuff. But anyway, when he told me that, I thought, oh my God, you're a Southerner and you couldn't understand these people? It was unbelievable. Now, I got to admit that I live in Georgia now. And yes, some of the people down here talk very Southern, but I don't have a bit of trouble understanding them. And I think the fact that I lived for over 30 years in the Kansas City, Missouri area helped me. Because in Kansas City, we've got a multitude of different accents, believe me. We got northern accents, we got southern accents. You never know how a person's going to sound in Kansas City. Okay, that's how the city is. It's like the meeting of the two worlds, okay? The South and the North. But anyway, I want to talk about something today, and William, I'd love for you to watch this video. This man, he's an older man. I don't know if he's that much older than me, frankly. But, I made a comment on we were doing something that I should never have been involved in. It's my old self, okay? I should have stopped doing it. And then I made amends on this posting, okay? It was about a numerology thing on Google Plus. And I was the only woman, as usual. This is not unusual for me to be the only woman, especially in a political conversation or, something along those lines. I've always been the one woman, okay? And a lot of times they'll ignore everything I write or all input, until I mention the fact that, oh, by the way, I have a hero son who died for the country. Oh, all of a sudden, I'm important enough to listen to. And that's something. I had to have a son die for you all to listen to me. Now, what's wrong with this picture? Okay? Think about it. What is it with you guys? We women have pretty good heads on our shoulders. I got a real high IQ, or at least I used to. And I don't think it's all gone, to be honest with you. I still can remember numbers just from hearing it for the first time and have it in my head the rest for years. So I must still have a pretty good noggin going on, even with the brain aneurysm I had, okay? Now, I posted a bunch of stuff politically this weekend. A bunch. And I only got a few responses. And that's kind of scary. It really is. Y'all realize this is our country? You do realize that, right? Let me tell you something. I figured something out today. They don't want us to move. They want us to stay right where we're at. If you live in Missouri, they want you to stay in Missouri. If you live in Georgia and you haven't been out of the state for 30 years, they want you to stay in Georgia. If you live in Florida, they want you to stay in Florida. Otherwise, they're going to make your life a living hell. Now, I've been on the phone with one of our legislators numerous times now, and this man called me back. Now, I give that man a lot of credit for doing that. Congressman Craig, okay? Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for doing that. And you know, I'm not in his district, but the issue had nothing to do with districts. The issue had to do with something illegal that Homeland Security has done. And I posted about all this stuff. It's right online. It's part of Homeland Security's webpage. You can go right there and read it. Now, why aren't you? What's wrong with you? You know, if you ever go through what I've been going through, you'll be reading that stuff. You'll be trying to figure out why you can't get a driver's license when you already have one. When you showed them your birth certificate. When you did everything you thought was normal. Or it was normal, but not today. Okay, here's the problem. I did not take back my maiden name the second time I got married. I did not take back my maiden name. Sorry about this. I'm going to have to shut this phone off because it'll be too loud if we continue. I don't like that noise interruption. It can just be on mute or whatever. But anyway, I thought I had everything the first time I went down there, okay? And we're talking way out. But fortunately, it's way out in a good way. It's not, you know, downtown Savannah. It's going down out in the country a bit. And I found it. You know, I stopped 3 times, but I found it. Now, I may not look disabled to you, but I am. I am. In fact, my hair still has a sticky crap in it that I'll never let any neurologist touch my head again. Not ever. I'll have to die first before that happens. They put this crap on your head when they put all the electrodes on to do a EEG. And it's so nasty that no matter how much you try to wash it out, it won't come out. And it's only in the top of my head. I could literally take my bangs and put them up and they'd still stay up. Yeah. I'm almost tempted to do it just so you can see. It is unreal to get this crap out of your head. I know they do it because they don't want to pull your hair and all that crap, but oh my God. But anyway, that's not the only reason why I never want to go back to her again. I have a lot of other reasons. Now, getting back to the subject, Homeland Security. I am going to read to you some of what, on my iPad, some of what these people are doing to us. I want you to hear it. You won't read it, so I'll tell it to you. How about that idea? Okay? Because I've had enough. I don't know about you, but I really have. Now, this is the part where secure drivers, it's on my iPad. You probably can't see it. secure driver's license, Homeland Security. Okay, now let's just go to it. Okay, we got to go to it. Alright, secure driver's license regulations. Real ID Act. Yeah, they want to make sure we're really who we say we are, okay? But it's gone way beyond anything normal, alright? Real ID Privacy Impact Assessment, okay? Now, minimum standards for driver's license and identification cards acceptable by federal agencies for official purposes. Now, what's that mean? Official purposes? Let me tell you what I think that really means. It means we're watching you. We want you on our database. I worked for a bank for almost 12 full years. I was a programmer in IT, and I was a project manager in IT when I left. And I'm going to tell you something right now. When 9/11 happened, us bankers, and I wasn't even a real banker, I was just the programmer, or in the end, I was managing the programs that I had written or that I was replacing, okay? And I was in charge of the whole kit and caboodle, getting it set up, getting it organized with the clients, and our clients were the bankers. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird, but that's just how it works, okay? Anyway, when 9/11 happened and the Patriot Act went into force, and by the way, if you think that Patriot Act is obsolete or not important anymore, guess again. You know, President Obama, guess what he did just a few months after he was in office? He re-signed in 3 parts of that act involving wiretapping that were about to become obsolete. Now, why did he do that? You better ask yourself that. Why? And if you think Mitt Romney's going to be any different, come on, wake up! Wake up! We got a problem here. And it has nothing to do with parties anymore. This problem has to do with a corrupt government. And you know what? Put me in jail, please. You think I'm a bad woman? You go ahead. You put this hero's mother in jail, please. If he were alive today, I wonder how he'd feel about that. I have a right to talk about my government because you know what? It's for the people, not for the politicians. There is for them too, but they're making it into something totally different. Not our Constitution. You know, y'all need to pay attention to this. Now, what's it going to take? I changed my picture. I made it into kind of a sexy picture, okay? Yeah, a 59-year-old could actually do that. Miracle. And on top of that, I got so much physically wrong with me, it would blow your mind. They don't even know why I'm still alive today. They haven't even figured that out. And down here, doesn't matter. They're probably going to kill me anyway. Because these doctors, they don't care. Okay. Now that may be going on everywhere, by the way. Now I'm going to, what these are they're PDF files. And they get into it. Now the first one, the Real ID Act. Let's see what the heck that is, okay? Now, definitions, okay? First of all, the top of it is H.R.1268. Okay? Emergency Supplemental Appropriations Act for Defense, the Global War on Terror, and Tsunami Relief, 2005, enrolled as agreed to or passed by both House and Senate. Now, that is downright scary. Our Congress voted this in. Our Congress! Okay, Title II. Improve security for driver's license and personal identification cards. Improve. Oh, it's laughable. It's truly laughable. Improve. No, there's another reason, folks. Another big reason. And I'm going to tell you what that is after I read this ridiculous state crap that they came up with. Okay, come on. Now, Section 201. Definitions. In this title, the following definitions apply. 1. Driver's license. The term driver's license means a motor vehicle operator's license as defined in Section 30301 of Title 49 United States Code. Isn't that nice? They defined it for us. But they have to. Legally, they do have to. Okay, now, number 2. Now, this is the identification card. The term identification card means a personal identification card as defined in Section 1028 D of Title 18 United States Code issued by a state. Okay? 3. Official purpose. The term official purpose includes, but is not limited to, accessing federal facilities, boarding federally regulated commercial aircraft, entering nuclear power plants, or in any other purposes that the Secretary shall determine. Now, number 4, Secretary. The term Secretary means the Secretary of Homeland Security. Did you know that? Did you really know that? Because I didn't. Isn't that something? Look at the power we have given the Secretary of Homeland Security. Wake up! What are we doing? Okay, now, 5. State. This is a goodie. The term state means a state of the United States. Oh, gee. Thank you. The District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Guam, American Samoa, the Northern Mariana Islands, the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands, and any other territory or possession of the United States. Now, hey, now that's interesting. Possession. Now, you got to ask yourself, what do we possess? That'll be my next research project. What do we possess? Now, we've been putting our boots out in a lot of countries. A lot. And suddenly, when you look on the map of democracy around the world, let me tell you something. There are more democratic countries out there than you could ever imagine, okay? Than there ever were 30 or 40 years ago. Now that's very interesting because that all ties into, hey, us getting involved, possibly. Yeah, okay, I have a feeling there's a real good reason why they're democratic, okay? Now, let's see. Section 202, minimum document requirements and issuance standards for federal recognition. A. Minimum standards for federal use. 1. In general, beginning 3 years after the date of the enactment of this division, a federal agency may not accept for any official purpose a driver's license or identification card issued by a state to any person unless the state is meeting the requirements of this section. Now that's very interesting. So it's saying, in other words, let's see, I moved to Georgia from Missouri. So that's telling me that in general, that's exactly how it starts out. In general, that they may not accept it unless that state adheres to the requirements of this section. Now, I would assume that Missouri is. They're a closed state, by the way. What does that mean? That means you can't get on the internet and get information about people. Like, for instance, vital records. You can't do it. It makes it a little more difficult for you when you have to go through this nightmare that I'm going through right now. I've had to pay a fortune just to get all my divorce records passed, brought down here. I didn't bring them with me. Sorry, I don't hang on to 30-year documents sometimes. You never thought you'd ever need them again. Or my marriage certificate. And that's what this whole thing is all about. What I gave them wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And I went, wait a minute. I gave you my birth certificate. I gave you 3 divorce decrees. And on every one of them, it says maiden name. And it gives the same name that's on my birth certificate. But that wasn't enough. They want my marriage certificates too. And I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. What is this? What is going on? You want every single document in my life? And yet I've already proved to you who I am? What is the problem here? Okay. Now, 2. State certifications. The secretary, and we now know that the secretary is Homeland Security, shall determine whether a state is meeting the requirements. Oh, they're watching them. Meeting the requirements of this section based on certifications made by the state to the secretary. That means they have to report everything. And I know all about that. I'm going to tell you about that in just a minute. Such certifications shall be made at such times and in such manner as the secretary, in consultation with the Secretary of Transportation, may prescribe by regulation. Isn't that interesting? See, they are keeping track of us in every way, shape, and form. They are watching us. Each and every one of us. Of course, they're watching us on the internet. It was really shocking to me one time when I read on Google Plus by a while back by some very young and innocent young people that said, "You mean they're watching us?" Oh, heck yeah. They've been doing that from day one. In fact, the internet is the government. They started the whole thing in the first place, people. The internet was a government thing. They were the ones that started the whole thing, okay? If you've been in IT, you'd know all about that. But now I was. And I know where it came from, okay? We just got started using it for our own purposes. It became a great tool to spread out and meet people from other countries and really bring the world closer to home. But unfortunately, it also became the watchdog of America and some of its other partners in this little deal. Okay, now minimum standards for federal use. Okay, now that's section 202. Minimum document requirements. This is a goodie. Okay, to meet the requirements of this section, a state shall include, at a minimum now, the following information and features of each driver's license and identification card issued to a person by the state. Okay? 1. The person's full legal name. 2. The person's date of birth. 3. The person's gender. 4. The person's driver's license or identification card number. 5. A digital photograph of the person. 6. The person's address of principal residence. 7. The person's signature. 8. Physical security features designed to prevent tampering, counterfeiting, or duplication of the document for fraudulent purposes. 9. A common machine-readable technology with defined minimum data elements. Oh, gee. Now, I wonder what the heck that's supposed to mean. Okay, I love it when they do this kind of stuff. You know, they think we're all stupid, okay? They say it in a way where it can mean a whole slew of different things, okay? Wake up. This is called attorney finagling bullshit. That's what that's called, okay? It's called attorney finagling bullshit. Remember that. All right, minimum issuance standards. 1. In general, to meet the requirements of this section, a state shall require, at a minimum, presentation and verification of the following information before issuing a driver's license or identification card to a person. A photo identity document, except that a non-photo identity document is acceptable if it includes both the person's full legal name and date of birth. My driver's license includes all that. Okay? Completely and totally. Okay, B. Documentation showing the person's date of birth. Let's see, birth certificate, driver's license, those right there show everything, okay? C, proof. Now get this one, you're gonna love this. Proof of the person's social security account number. Or verification that the person is not eligible for a social security account number. Oh, this is a good one. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I give you my social security number, which is supposed to be private, by the way, because right there you're in danger of identity theft. right there. Okay. D. Documentation showing the person's name and address of principal residence. I'm going to tell you about Georgia in just a minute. 2. Special requirements. A. In general, to meet the requirements of this section, a state shall comply with the minimum standards of this paragraph. The minimum now. They give you some leeway. They give the states leeway. It's up to the state. Okay? It's up to the damn state. Okay, A. In general, to meet requirements of this section, a state shall comply with the minimum standards of this paragraph. Okay, here we go. B. Evidence of lawful status. A state shall require before issuing a driver's license or identification card to a person valid documentary evidence that the person I love this, now we're down to the I's. I is a citizen or national of the United States. Birth certificate. That's what they're talking about. Double I, which is 2, is an alien lawfully admitted for permanent or temporary residence in the United States. Doesn't apply to me, but it might to some of you. Triple I has conditional permanent resident status in the United States. I do. Oh, I have 2 homes. One in Missouri, one here. I do. I've got all the proof. Okay. Now this is number 4, but it's IV, and that's Roman numeral for 4 for any of you who don't know. Has an approved application for asylum in the United States or has entered into the United States in refugee status. Okay, well that's not necessary for most of us. Okay, 5, which is V in Roman numeral, has a valid, unexpired non-immigrant visa or non-immigrant visa status for entry into the United States. Okay, 6, which is VI, has a pending application for asylum in the United States. 7, VII, has a pending or approved application for temporary protected status in the United States. Okay, this is all for people that weren't born here. Okay? And then 8, VIII, has approved deferred action status, or IX, 9, has a pending application for adjustment of status to that of an alien lawfully admitted for permanent residence in the United States or conditional permanent resident status in the United States. Now, all of those have to do with people who weren't born here, except the very first part, okay? But even if you weren't born here, you're still going to have your birth certificate, no matter what, okay? Now, C, temporary driver's license and identification cards. In general, if a person presents evidence under any of clauses 5 through 9 of subparagraph B, we know what all that is, the state may only issue a temporary driver's license or temporary identification card to the person. Now, isn't that something? You don't even get a driver's license even after you show them all that. It's up to them. Now, I'll tell you my story in just a minute. Then they have the expiration date. A temporary driver's license or temporary identification card issued pursuant to this subparagraph shall be valid only during the period of time of the applicant's authorized stay in the United States. All of this has to do with people that came to this country. Now, where does it come about us? See? And then there's talk about the expiration date. Again, more blah, 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 bullshit. Okay? Renewal. Oh, this is a goodie. A temporary driver's license or temporary identification card issued pursuant to this subparagraph. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Oh, for God's sakes. I'm going to turn this thing off if I have to. A temporary driver's license or temporary identification card issued pursuant to this subparagraph may be renewed only upon presentation of valid documentary evidence that the status by which the applicant qualified for the temporary driver's license or temporary identification card has been extended by the Secretary of Homeland Security. We got a problem here, people. Now, verification of documents. This is a goodie. They give a list of requirements, okay? And it's all blah, blah, blah crap. That's what it all is, okay? Let's get down to the real stuff. Because, see, here's the thing. Here's my problem, and I'm going to tell it to you. I'm going to try to find, all right, here we go. Now, here's the other requirements. You're going to love this. A state shall adopt the following practices in the issuance of driver's license and identification cards. 1. Employ technology to capture digital images of identity source documents so that the images can be retained in electronic storage in a transferable format. Now, why do you think they need that? We're being cataloged, honey. We have been ever since we had Social Security number system. The minute you have a baby now, you got to get a Social Security number for them. When I had my children, that wasn't necessary immediately, okay? When I was born, I didn't have to get a Social Security number till I went to work. Up until then, it wasn't necessary. There were no rules for that. Now, we're only talking 59 years. 59 years! That's not a long time. Maybe to a 20-year-old it is, but come on, wake up. Now, 2, retain paper copies. They retain it. How about that? They ain't retaining any of my stuff. I can tell you that right now. Retain paper copies of source documents for a minimum of 7 years, or images of source documents presented for a minimum of 10 years. You people need to really move and find out how fun this is. You really do. Check it out. Try it out. Okay, now 3. Subject each person applying for a driver's license or identification card to a mandatory facial image capture. Well, who cares? They want to take a picture. We're used to that. They've been doing that for years. Okay. 4. Establish an effective procedure to confirm or verify a renewing applicant's information. Now, This is up to the state, how they do it. All right? State of Missouri might not be so ridiculous about this as the state of Georgia. Now, I can speak about the state of Georgia and how ridiculous they are because why? I can't get a driver's license. Not from them. I have a valid driver's license. It's Missouri. I still have 2 years on it. So I am a valid driver. Screw them. Here's my problem. I gotta take my car back up to Missouri to get my tags. That's what I'm gonna end up having to do. Because these jackasses are playing a game, and it's a serious game. But you know what? I am just mad and ready to do it. I am ready to say screw you and just go ahead, drive my car as sick as I am back up to Missouri and get my damn tags for another 4 years or whatever. And at least I won't have to screw around with these idiots. Okay. 4. Establish an effective procedure to confirm or verify a renewing applicant's information. Oh my God. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. See, we have to prove who we are now. To the max. Not just a little bit, but to an extreme amount. Extreme. Okay, now, 5. Confirm with the Social Security Administration a Social Security account number presented by a person using the full Social Security account number. In the event that a Social Security account number is already registered to or associated with another person to which any state has issued a driver's license or identification card, the state shall resolve the discrepancy and take appropriate action. Yeah, they'll put you in jail. You could be a terrorist. Now, number 6, refuse to issue a driver's license or identification card to a person holding a driver's license issued by another state without confirmation that the person is terminating or has terminated the driver's license. I was willing to terminate my current driver's license, perfectly willing to get a Georgia license, even though I have property in Missouri still. Now it's up for sale, but that doesn't matter. I'm paying taxes in Missouri, and I'm paying taxes here in Georgia, and I paid last year's taxes, and I wasn't even, technically, I didn't even seriously have to do that, but I did it anyway. Unbelievable. You know what? I don't know if I'm going to pay their damn taxes this year. They give me a driver's license and give me my tags, and maybe I'll pay my taxes. But otherwise, I think I'm going to tell them, screw you. We're going to have a real fight. You know, William, you thought I wasn't a fighter? Honey, you're looking at a fighter. Okay, now, there's a lot more to this. It would blow your mind. You really need to read it for yourself. And I'll tell you something else. Wait a minute. There's even more. There's so much. It's unbelievable. It's just absolutely unbelievable. You know, I'm going to tell you something. When I went in there and tried to get a simple driver's license, they almost try to make you feel like you're a criminal. If you don't have all the paperwork that they want you to have. And by the way, this is up to the state. That's something else I learned. It's not necessarily, every state can ask for whatever they really want, okay? Some states may not be so hard on you, but Georgia, hoo, 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 now they are unbelievable. There's a repeal process. Yep, there's an actual public law is repealed. I'm going to have to look that one up because maybe this is all bullshit. Maybe what they're doing is completely illegal. Invasion of privacy. Because what they're asking me to present is everything in my life. Everything. Every single thing. It's unbelievable. Honest to God, it is unbelievable. This thing is pages and pages long, and it's just on getting a driver's license. Okay? It's 6 pages. 6 pages. Just on getting a driver's license. How long did it take them to come up with this sucker? 2005. So, yeah, 4 years for them to, let's figure this one out. Now, how hard can we make this for them, huh? Oh, and see, they had to make the time to set up the databases to put all that information in because they're tracking us, they're watching us, they're tapping our damn phones, they're doing all kinds of things. By the way, wiretapping is legal if they suspect you're a terrorist. They just have to suspect it. One of the other items that I gave you talks about how your neighbor can turn you in as a terrorist. He might not like you. So he can call up Homeland Security and say, I think my neighbor's a terrorist. And the next thing you know, you're being investigated. Now we got a hell of a problem here. Let me ask you something. If you know anything at all about history, what does this remind you of? Got any ideas on what it reminds you of? Only now they have an even better way. It's called technology. Back in the 20s and the 30s, they didn't have the computer abilities that we do today. Okay? Technology. Now I'm going to tell you something, and I don't even know if I'm supposed to. At this point, I just don't care anymore. When 9/11 happened, yeah, it was a shock. It was a shock for me. I was at home. I was working from home that day. I was, I'm fused from here to here. And then I'm fused, if I can even stand up, from here to here. I don't know if y'all can see it. That's my butt, by the way. And I have a brain aneurysm. I've got 9 titanium stents in my head. Okay? I can't even fly on an airplane anymore. Can you believe it? Can't even fly on an airplane. I take a train, but I cannot fly. It'll blow my brains out. Well, they won't even let me on it because I have so much metal in my body that I can't even get through their metal detectors. I've tried. Not at the airport, but at other places. I can't pass. They know it's medical because I come in with my canes or I'm in a wheelchair. So they know it's got to be medical, and they do trust that. okay? But I'm going to tell you something. Twice now, I have been down to the local DMV down here. I've been on the phone with one of the legislators. I called one prior to the other one. He didn't bother to even call me. He didn't do anything for me. Nothing. Okay? But the other one called me this morning. And he's as frustrated with this as I am. He's really at a loss. He doesn't know what to do for me. I can prove everything. Now here's the deal. First thing they told me when I went in after I sat for 3 hours, which is the worst thing in the world for a very disabled woman like me to do, okay? But I'm making jokes with people. I'm good at that, you know? I get people, we're laughing, you know, making a joke about, what the heck is this? The way that they do it down here didn't make any sense. But, you know, we're making jokes about it, having some fun. But the women were overhearing some of it. And they thought I was a troublemaker. One of the managers said several things to me. And I got the very distinct impression, oh, okay, she feels like I'm a little bit of a troublemaker. We're just having fun. It's not a big deal. Okay? Kind of like Google Plus. We do some stupid stuff on Google Plus. It's just fun. We're not trying to hurt anyone. Okay. The first time I go in, I get up there and I had researched it to know what I thought I was supposed to have. Okay? I had my birth certificate. I had my social security card. I had documentation proving that I own my home, that my bills come here. I had several bills. I had some bank statements even. That is none of their damn business, but they actually have a right. They can see that shit. That's not their business. It's privacy. That is not their business. My bank statements are not their business. My phone bills are not their business. Now, some woman comes over and says, well, your name doesn't match your birth certificate. And I said, no, ma'am, I've been divorced a couple of times. Sorry, I've been married a few times. My first husband broke my neck. Okay? Sorry. That's life, you know. And my second husband beat the hell out of me too. Of course, after a while, I got smart. And I started getting strong, working out. And I thought, okay, now come for me, boys, because now I'm going to fight back. And I meant it. I was powerful. I had some big arms there. I was pushing my own weight almost. And that's pretty big, you know, for a person to be able to do that. But anyway, I actually hurt my back doing that, though. That's a problem. So let's get back on subject. So they said, okay, well, we need some kind of paper trail proving, matching you up with that birth certificate and your social security card today and the name that's on it. And I said, okay, well, what do you want from me? And they go, well, we need your divorce papers. And I thought, oh my God, my divorce papers? I've been divorced for years. My divorce papers? I said, well, first of all, I don't know if I might have the last one. And then the one woman tells me, well, if you have the last one, that's all we need. That's exactly what she said.